What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to 876 United Facts TV. Now, today I have a special guest. He's a very dear friend of mine. We have been friends for about 16 years, and we have a lot in common. We are only childs for our parents, as well as we are Manchester United fans. So today I just want to ask him a few questions. Today's video, as you will see in the title of the video, that we're having his reaction to the Jadon Sancho signing, the Rafael Varane signing, and we are going to also discuss about the Pogba situation, about players who are linked with Manchester United, such as Saul Niguez, Ruben Neves, Trippier, and you know, we will also discuss what do we think if we get these signings, and with the signings we have already gotten, what do we envisage Manchester United will do this season. So, without further ado, let us welcome Javier.
Hi,
Welcome, man.
it's
What's up,
us.
bro?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm here. I'm here. So yeah,
Thanks for having me on the show.
yeah, man. So first order of business, let us discuss the transfer and tell me what you think. Jadon Sancho and Rafael Varane. Yo, we haven't seen such signings in a while, man. I've been getting third options, fourth options, but you know, I'll allow you to tell me how you feel, and then I'll give my point of view on it.
And I think there are two good signings. I know. I know we've been trying to get Sancho from last year, from last season. Didn't work out. Glad to see how it happened this year. I mean, I've always said that it's always good. It's always good to have the two different wingers starting that have a bit of mix in it. Rashford is more of that goal scoring prowess. Although he has his times when his decision making can be a bit lackluster sometimes, but I still have to give it to him. He can be dangerous. Versus Jadon Sancho, who his XAs, his expected assists in Bundesliga has been crazy. He's always creating chances. I have to give it to him. It's a wonderful signing to have someone on one side that can create chances for us, which we've been really lacking for this season, versus someone on the left who can get his own shots in and can be that goal scoring type of threat to us. And I think for Rafael Varane, we've really been looking for two duos from back to Ferdinandez and Vidic. We've always tried to find it. Yeah, after that, I think
Yeah,
Manu has always had that problem of trying to find that perfect duo. I'm not going to say that until I see it to believe it. That they will be the perfect duo. Nothing is perfect, but not to compare them to like Vidic and Ferdinand, but I believe this is a very good signing. We really got him
for a
I would say
bargain.
yeah, definitely for a bargain. You know what I'm saying? You know, his although he's had a down season last year, I think he will just uh pick it up from where he left off a couple years ago. I mean, how Prem is these days that you definitely need a defender, a ball playing defender who can have the pace to catch up with these attackers that we have. I mean, it's crazy to see like the tempo of Premier League of today. So you definitely need someone who's recovering, who has he actually I'm not sure if I have this right, but when I checked it, I think in defenders he's top 10 in recovery pace rate. That's definitely something that we definitely
He's
need.
second.
Oh,
He's
he's
second
second.
behind Paul
Yeah, that's
Torres from the Villarreal.
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
So it's something that you always need, and his his passing stats are phenomenal. He always his succession rate, passing attempts from long range, from short. Definitely something that Manu has been trying for a while to build up play from the back. and I think he'll be a good addition for us.
And I like what you said. The duo. We haven't had two solid centre backs in years.
Yeah,
We
definitely.
can
We've been
even,
trying.
I mean, we can even talk about the partnerships before Vidic and Rio Ferdinand, but we only know about them. We don't know about the players before. You know, when we got was it Eric Bailly and it was Phil Jones at one point. Two players who are
Lindelof.
constantly in the sick bay, and then we got Lindelof who we shunned Van Dijk to purchase. Remember, it was either Lindelof or Van Dijk. Remember?
Yeah, yeah,
So
definitely.
it has been a lot of heartache and a lot of stress with our centre backs. And then I would say when Harry Maguire came, he was a breath of fresh air in his first season. But you could clearly see that everyone that was there as his partner, they weren't, a good compliment for him. Lindelof is too weak. He's not. He doesn't have good enough recovery pace. So we had a lot of leakage back in our back line over the recent years. So on paper, Varane is the best suited partner for him. You can say Pa Torres as well, but in terms of the experience that Varane has, the winner's mentality that he has from winning countless Champions Leagues and La Ligas and World Cups and a World Cup as well, I think he's the proper partner. So
Definitely.
I'm happy. I'm happy, but
Uh,
I'm not over the moon because I think there are certain things that has forced United to be this ruthless in the transfer window. We'll get into that a little later on in the show, and I'll ask you
Definitely.
what you think about that. So I want to get into something first before we get back to that. I want
Okay.
to ask you about some of the players that we have been rumored with. Um, as it stands, Pogba has not extended his contract. There was talks on the mirror, in Europe that he's waiting to see the other business that is done by United. So therefore, you have Manchester United linked to countless players who can be possible replacements as well as other possible signings. So firstly, I want to ask you, what do you think about Saul Niguez, who plays for Atletico Madrid? 26 years old,
Yeah.
younger than Pogba, a little magician in his own respect. What you think?
I think he'll be a good signing. I'm not going to lie. I think uh if that is how we're going to do it, if it's supposed to be a replacement for Paul Pogba, I'll just have to see like the other signings that they would make because Salonigas is more like a box to box midfielder. He
Right.
isn't like, that elite when it comes to like the attacking and the passing aspect. Like he's not elite when it comes to like the tone increase levels. He's a good all around player. I think his defense is phenomenal. I have to give it to him. His work rate. I always say, if you don't have a CDM, a halfback or a anchorman CDM who is willing to step or a bowling midfielder who's willing to just be that rock in front of the two centre backs, then you have to have a box to box midfielder in the Premier League. It's just like not even Premier League, but like in football today,
In
a
a team
box to
in
box midfielder.
general.
Yeah, you definitely need a box to box midfielder. So I think he'll be a good addition for Manchester United. As I said, his defense is that's phenomenal. I think he'll be a good addition for us, but it's not the path I would take. But I definitely think he'll be a good addition.
Funny enough, I agree with you. I don't think he would be the best suited replacement. I have my own opinions, but I'll soon get to that. I want to ask you about another possible replacement for Pogba, as well as they're also trying to get a CDM in because when you read Manchester Evening News, they're saying that Ole really wants a CDM, a player who can take the ball from defense and transition to the attack as well as is tenacious who can win back the ball and so on. So I would be personally, I would want a indeed type of CDM,
Ah,
but we've been linked with
it is not.
Ruben Neves as well, which for me, I think he's Premier League proven because he plays for Wolves, but I don't think he has the attributes that I would like for my CDM. You know what I mean? So Ruben, tell me what you think if
Yeah.
we should get Ruben Neves. What do you think about that?
I think Ruben Neves is extraordinary. I think he's really technically gifted. You know, he can really initiate the attack from the defensive side of it. Um, I'm really a fan of Neves. Even though I personally wouldn't buy him, you know, I think that Manchester United, the route that Manchester United takes in their transfer recruitments is not the way I would go about things. But I definitely would understand them getting Ruben Neves. Ruben Neves would create space for us to have two basically two. I don't think people know. Basically, having two Mezzalos, basically just two attacking midfielders that are a bit not central but a bit wider, who could use those half space created by just having that CDM with them. So I think he'll be a good signing, but I don't think Wolves would be having him on the cheap. Him or indeed
Well,
Leicester
he's
definitely would
listed
be
at
wanting
35
Max.
mil. He's listed at 35 million, and it's it may be a different price tag if we actually initiate interest in
Oh no,
purchasing the
no
player.
doubt. It's just that the Premier League owners clubs they go about it rough, you know. You know, like
Inflated
look at Grealish.
prices.
Yeah, look at Grealish. I mean, like we have Man City are trying to pay 100 mil for him. So like, I don't even want to bring up Bayern because they're not in Prem, but Bayern, I don't know how Bayern does it. Bayern just be getting players like this, like non-stop and just cheap from like Bundesliga, like teams. That's just not how it goes in Prem. Like Prem, like every club for themselves. You know, they always try to, especially like the lower teams. They are going to want to get the highest bid so that they can use that money and improve their squad in depth. So I think both those players would be great additions, but you know they definitely would be extremely expensive, and I don't think Manchester United currently financially
We're in
financially
that
would have those
position.
risks.
Yeah.
You believe we are in that position?
No, I mean from the
Or as
the
in depth, COVID?
yeah, COVID. I think the COVID kind of
Yeah,
hit that
yeah,
we
definitely.
normally have a high budget which is not used. But I think
Definitely.
right now, I don't think we can get another player for more than 50 million.
I can't even lie to you. I cannot say that the budget has not
Unless
been used.
unless we sell some players to raise some funds, we can say, all right, we can possibly get another expensive player.
Yeah,
And
but
as
the thing, and that's
uh go ahead, go ahead.
no, I was saying that's no, I was saying that's the thing. That's not the way I would go through it. I think Manchester United need to realize that. I mean, low key, Manchester United is just holding up. Their reputation is just being based on popularity per se. You know, and Manchester United is still a
History.
big club. Yeah, it's still a big club, but I think they need to go like just buying expensive players. That in itself, the only reason that we've had a plus for profits has been because of our popularity merchandise, gate receipts, fans buying tickets. But if you realize it, that's why I can't say that we have not used the budget. I mean, I think if you were to say that maybe more money could have been put in the budget for sure. You know, Woodward has restricted money on some of the managers of the past, but they have used the money. It's just that a lot of the players did not execute, and it's not on the players' faults alone. You know, the team has to blame. The players have to blame. A lot of factors are to blame, but I think we haven't used it wisely. I think we're trying to target too many high reputation, expensive players when I think the method that Manchester United should go is buying young, upcoming players for cheap, building them into a system. And that's even the problem as well. We don't really have a system or a culture that we've really developed since I've seen or
Hey,
I see him. I'm not.
hold on, man. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm
go
sorry.
on.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go. Wait, the man
Sorry.
was soon getting at that, man.
Sorry,
Wait,
sorry. But
man.
to answer the question, I think Ndidi and think they would be good for us, but I don't think we'll be able to afford them.
So you are prepared. It's clear that you are prepared because you see you're getting into some of the questions I will ask you in the rest of the
Sorry,
show.
boss. Sorry, boss.
Yeah, man, no problem.
Come on.
Yeah, you're free to express yourself. But I want to ask you about Trippier. We're heavily linked with Trippier, and Trippier has made himself known by Atletico that listen, I want to go back to the Premier League, and his preferred destination is United. The Athletic has reported on his situation at Atletico that he wants a new chapter in his career because I think he is
Probably
interested.
homesick.
That is one thing as well, probably, but he's also interested in what Manchester United is building. When he sees the signing of Varane, the signing of Sancho, you know, signings like that will attract him. And just tell me what you think. Do you rather to have a Trippier in your defense or a Aaron Wan-Bissaka in your defense? And now this
Um,
will lead us to losing possibly Diego Dallo. Just tell me what you think.
I mean, I'm a big
Trippier
AWB
or
fan.
Wan-Bissaka, which one?
Uh, I don't think it's that simple of an answer. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. Other than Kyle Walker, I think Trippier is one of the second most like balanced wing back there is in England. I'm not going to lie to you. He has no real weakness when it comes to the attacking or the defensive side. There, it's at least
Trent
average at best, if that's what you
Alexander-Arnold.
want to call it. No, no, no. I love
The
Trent.
Liverpool,
I love
the
Trent. I'm
Liverpool
not.
fans, the Liverpool fans will come for you. For
Oh no,
saying
no,
that.
no, no, no. But it's also true. No, no. It's just
I know,
no. It's
I
just the
agree with
truth. I
you.
mean,
I agree with you, but
I love.
You can't tell the Liverpool fans that though.
Nah, Trent.
Yeah, go
I'm
ahead,
not
sorry.
going to. No, definitely, man. No, no hate on Trent. Like Trent is one of the best attacking wing backs I've ever seen. That man's crossing is legendary. But I have to give it to Trippier. He's one of the more balanced wing backs in England. And it
World
just depends
football.
on how.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, I was saying that it just depends on what you would how you'd want to play. I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka is too great defensively. I really I think that his attacking game could be improved. It won't be great. It could be at least average. They could work on it throughout the summer, or he himself can work on it with his personal trainer. Um, I will keep Bisaka for the simple fact. I really am a Bisaka fan. Like his defensive attribute, his that man is a defensive mind. He's one of the best defensive wing backs I've seen around the past couple of years. I think if the only thing is that if you're going to have a defensive wing back, you have to on the other wing back side. That's a good thing about Trippier. He can play on the right, he can play on the left. And if you're going to have Wan-Bissaka playing on the right as a more defensive wing back, you have to have your other wing back being on that support or on that attack role. You have to have, and I personally like Lucia. I'm not going to lie. I like my wing backs. I'm not going to lie. I personally wouldn't change them. I probably would just get youngsters that I believe for that would replace them. I mean, Wan-Bissaka is young, but I'll definitely I was personally going to I really like Nuno Mendes, but he's probably going to Man City, and I also like this guy. He's playing for thing there in Liga. He's playing for it's a I don't really remember what like black and white emblem. some like angler or something like that. But Nuri, his name is Nuri, and I really like the way how he
Okay,
plays.
yes,
He's
I know that.
also yeah, right, Nuri. I really wish that they had gone from like a year or 2 years ago, you know. But I you can't lose with Trippier though. Like logic, the
Agreed.
logical thing that you can't lose with him. But I think Manchester United are going for players that they really don't need personally, because Trippier is not going to. I believe Trippier is not going to go in there and say, you know what, I'm just going to be a squad player and I'll be fine coming
He
off the
wants to
bench and
start.
starting couple games. Yeah, definitely. You have Luke Shaw, you have Alex Tellers, you have me personally. What my plan was to retrain Dan James, although he sucks in defense, but still, I my plan was to retrain Dan James as a wing back because his crossing is phenomenal. Train him as a wing back, he could be a nice attacking wing back outlet that we can have. Definitely it will be like I'm not comparing him to Trent, but the style of play will be similar to Trent. That would be my person. He
It's a
wouldn't start.
different
Don't get me wrong.
opinion. That's a different
Yeah,
opinion. Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't. I mean, I think I wouldn't sell Dan James. I personally would just retrain him as a right wing back. Um, Let him get used to it playing in that role because he can cross. He's a good crosser, and I think that is again sometimes Manu switches up their style of play sometimes. I don't even know like the
Well,
team that they want to play.
well,
But
I mean,
I mean,
that's kind of different. I mean, personally, that's your opinion, and it's fine. Some persons may agree with you, but I kind of have a different viewpoint
uh,
because
what do you think about that?
I was saying, well, we're talking about the wing backs first, and then I'll get to Dan James. So, firstly, I was thinking we don't really need to sign Trippier because we have Diego Dallo, a young wing back who can learn to defend by being in competition with Wan Bissaka, and Wan Bissaka can learn to attack by
Definitely.
being
I
in
can see.
competition with Dallo, because the thing, one of them can attack very well and one of them can't defend very well. So my thing is, the Jadon Sancho signing will help to complement Aaron Wan-Bissaka's frailties in the attack, right? And then now we have Luke Shaw, who likes to bomb forward, who likes to go forward and put crosses in the box. Rashford likes to be an inverted winger, cut in, take the shots, and so forth. So I was saying, all right, this was what I would do if I was Ed Woodward. Keep Facundo Pelestri and Diallo as the wingers on the bench, right? Because they're two young, talented wingers who can learn from Sancho and learn from, even though Sancho and Rashford are young, they have been playing for the first team for about 3 years now, and Sancho has been playing top flight football for 3 years now. So I would put Diallo and Pelestri as our wingers on the bench. Loan out Daniel James. Make him go to Leeds, go La Liga, somewhere him can learn, because my problem is he has very good attributes like speed, and he keeps the team shape when we're playing a specific formation. But my problem is in the attacking end of the field, he makes a lot of mistakes. Sometimes he's shooting when he's supposed to pass, or he's shooting when he's supposed to cross, or prime example, he's playing against a Kyle Walker, he's playing against a Reece James. He's trying to go around those wing backs, and those wing backs are probably faster than him or just as fast as him, and they're stronger than him. So I think he should get a loan spell, build his career, improve some aspects of his game, and if he's good enough, come back to United. Utilize Fecunda Pelestri and Diallo as the backups. Rashford and Sancho are our starters. We don't need Trippier. Trippier is at a different stage in his career. He's 30 now. I think, and Wan Bissaka is 24 in that age range. Diego Dallo is 22. Why are we going to buy those older players? Yes, Trippier is a good player, but I don't think we need to get him right now. You were saying we need to use the youths, build the youths, and then, build something for the future. So that's where I was thinking. So personally, I wouldn't I wouldn't get Trippier. Or they, and you can even talk about Brandon Williams. We don't need Trippier in my opinion. Is he still here?
Yeah. Um.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
agree with you. I think also. Now I was just saying that Lone Spell would do Ben James good. I think Lone Spell. Because I don't see him getting much game this year. But I'm just remembering the amount of depth we have for back. Yeah. Um. Yeah. So yeah,
yeah.
I think the
Remember
Lone.
we loan out. Yeah, remember we loan
Yeah.
out Pelestri last season, and I didn't agree with it because the player who was coming off the bench was Dan James. I mean, he scored in the Europa League couple times, but it's Europa League. I mean, our players are better than the Europa League. We just were. I think Ole is to blame for losing the finals, but that's a part of football. But I think Dan James should have a loan spell and try and improve some things. But we have the players there. We have the Fecundo Pelestris. We have Amad Diallo's there. And so that's what I would do.
Yeah, I
I don't
get you.
know
I get
about
it.
you and anybody
Nothing's wrong
else.
with that. No, no,
Yeah, that's what I
I
would
can see
do.
that happening.
Yes, that's where we're going to get into the next part of the show. Players that we probably may see out in quick succession. So the first player is Matic. I know Matic has been over the years an undroppable CDM, but now his legs are getting to him. He's older now. I don't think he can do what he used to do earlier on in his career. Mata, I think he's a good leader. Players can learn from him, especially Bruno and Van der Beek. And you can even put Scott McTominay in the mix as well. He's a good senior player that we can keep in the squad. We can even speak about Lingard. I put Lingard under the player transfer list because I don't think Ole is going to use him. I don't think Ole is going to use him. I think Ole prefers to burn out Bruno, and then he plays Van der Beek in that position every now and then. So I think Lingard probably needs to leave. Diego Dallo I put on this transfer list as well because we're heavily linked with Trippier. Then we can speak about Axel Tuanzebe, who Aston Villa has showed an interest to loan him again because remember he was a player on loan there. And then Phil
Yeah.
Jones. Phil Jones. Newcastle is interested in Phil Jones. Then now Andreas Pereira, who I think a Portuguese team was interested in the player, as well as a Turkish team. So what do you think? So starting with Matic, what do you think? Should he
I think
leave?
Matic will stay. I think both Matic and Mats are quite content in especially at this phase of their think playing careers. I think they're quite content in taking a step back. And they mentoring, tutoring some of the younger players. I don't think Mato or Matic will be leaving. They probably unless they really wanted to started to start like playing more matches, then I don't see any reason why Manu would hold it against them to transfer them. But I think for this year both of them are going to stay. For Lingard, however, I personally like Lingard. I'm not going to lie to you. I think a lot of the problems he's had for the past year was due to self confidence issues. He did play poorly in some games, and also he just You know, I think Lingard is an inconsistent, consistent form guy. You know, I think if that makes any sense, basically, I think Lingard is a guy that if you playing him you play him in some games and he plays bad, and then you stop playing him and just start throwing him in every couple minutes, he's not going to continue performing. I think it weighs heavily I think it weighs heavily on what people say in the media. You know, he sees it every day. You know, people making fun of him, Lingardinho and all of that. I think it does weigh on his mind a bit. Oh, but for real, I
Mm-hmm.
think mental issue. I think mental confidence is a huge factor in sports, and I think he could see that the door was closing on him at Manchester United. I think he just couldn't get back that form when he was at that form in 2018 at the World Cup, where he played actually well in that World Cup. But that year, 2017, 2018, he had a good season. I think Ole is not very good at squad rotation management. I really
Soon
don't
get
see.
into
And
that.
Manu
Soon
has,
get into that. Soon get
yeah,
into.
but just
Soon get into that. Mm-hmm.
but what I would do and what Manu would do, I think Manu would do something different. What I did, I think too. I think Manu would definitely sell him. He's on a high. The form that he showed on West Ham is would definitely increase his market value, and they probably use that and sell him.
I think.
There
I
was a
think you should
report.
go to West Ham.
Definitely, they are actually interested in actually making him play for the whole season for this year. Well, this season coming up,
I
and I
think they
think
want him. And then I don't think Chelsea is going to actually go for Declan Rice this season. I know he's linked to Chelsea, but Chelsea has Jorginho, Kovacic, and Kante. So him going to Chelsea, probably he may not get as much game time than if he should move to a Manchester United, for example. And at this point in time, I don't see any other club wanting to sign Declan Rice. So I think Jesse Lingard should go there because they have some crop of players there who are on the rise. You know, we have Suchek as well, who is there. Antonio, who just got his Jamaican passport. Yeah, World
yeah,
Cup looking nice at Jamaica. And yes,
yeah,
I think
definitely. But
you should go to West Ham.
West Ham is definitely a good team. It's definitely a good team, and they're in European football for this year. They're actually They were couple games, couple matches before the season was ending. They're actually in that hunt to get the fourth spot, I should say. But it's a very good upcoming team. I think Premier League is so competitive now, more than ever. There are like 8, 9 teams competing to get into that top four spot. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You have Man U, you have City, you have Chelsea, you have Liverpool, then you have the other teams. You have Tottenham. I mean, Tottenham is going to have to go into a rebuild, and
Don't
Kane
forget
is not going to
Leicester.
stay there.
Don't
Yeah, no,
forget Leicester
definitely
is there.
Leicester. Leicester now, Leicester, they have no one else to blame but themselves for the past 2 years. They've been in the top four, and then in the last games, they dropped out to the top four. But that is an amazing team. That is the base Leicester. This is why I have to give credit to Manchester City and Leicester. They basically showed clubs the route that they should take into building a team. They bought
Right.
they bought young upcoming players, molded them into a culture, and this is what you get. And you can use you. It's simple. It's simple finances. You buy a player for 10 million. You sell. You don't even have to sell them. But I'm saying you sell them for 40, 50 million. You get a profit off of it. But if you this is what Ndidi, Soyuncu, you know what I'm saying? James Madison, all of this.
Vardy.
All of that stuff. Yeah, Vardy, but Vardy has been there. So Vardy had a rise that no one ever thought he would do, and but
You
done
for-
the same based on like,
you forgot the striker, the other striker that Leicester has. I forgot his
oh,
name.
Ian Nacho, Ian
Yeah,
Nacho.
he found form in. since
Yeah,
January.
yeah, definitely, definitely. So that's why I have a great to Man City. Like, if you look on the players that Man City are playing now, Sterling, Kevin De Bruyne, Mahrez, um, Bernardo Silva, David Silva, Kun Aguero, like Laporte, John Stones. These are all young upcoming players that they got for not all of them, but definitely they got for a much cheaper price. And now look at that now. Kevin De Bruyne, you have to pay like 200 million for that guy. I mean, they won't sell him,
Yeah,
but I'm just saying 200 plus. Bernardo Silva is a beast. I can't like that man is the like he is the like of Premier League currently. That man is like the goat of Dina Mezzala. Like he does that man's work rate, stamina, passing, like oh gee. But that's
and
what
he's
I
a
think that's
very
what
good false nine player.
yeah when he has to be. Like I have to give it up, Look at even Gabriel Jesus, he's not what Manchester City thought he would have been. But if they were to sell him now they'll get a profit. Yeah, they that's how I think
50
man used
million.
to. Oh
About
yeah, you
50
get what I'm
million
saying?
is valued at. Mm,
Yeah, but I don't want to, get into two of like the whole thing. You said that we'll get into it later, so whenever that comes up.
yeah, man. So now
But
I
yeah,
want to
but
get
yeah,
into. Huh? Go ahead.
now no, I was just saying that, but that's basically how I feel about players that are currently here. One player that you didn't say though, I think Martial will be leaving in the near future though. I think Martial is unhappy at Manchester United. I think that
No,
somebody's going to have to. Wait, Sam.
no. Go ahead. When you finish, then I'll say what I want to say.
Oh, okay. No, I was just saying that I believe personally that somebody's going to have to get sacrificed for Greenwood's development. I think that the whole Greenwood playing wing, I don't think that was ever his thing. He can play there, but I know that for a fact Greenwood would be a Greenwood's is a striker. That is where he is most natural.
That's
Put him
his
in
bread
on the
and
wing
butter.
kind of. Yeah. So, that's why I love that they bought Cavani. Cavani is there to mentor and tutor him. And, whenever he gives the keys to Greenwood, whenever Ole does that for Greenwood to start as a striker, then that will happen. But, someone has to get sacrificed. I think Martial is not going to be knowing Martial. I mean, I don't know him personally, but based on, his attitude, you can see sometimes when he comes off or come on, people do get upset. Players, there's something wrong with that. But just based on the report that came out when Ole got his contract extension, he was saying at a cup, one of the players that weren't really happy with it was Martial. So
As
and there's a
usual.
lot of yeah, there's a lot of you know
To
play older players, not older players, former players, saying about how Martial, his off the ball movement as a striker, which is true, isn't all that great. That is true. He doesn't look hungry on the ball sometimes. I think that goes into his mind sometimes. I don't think he's, really been, striving at Manu.
I mean, I agree with everything that you said about Martial, but there's a problem that I have with him. Remember when Zlatan came, when they stripped the number 9 from him, he began playing inconsistent. Now Cavani came, it's the same thing again. Yeah, Manchester United. I'm a little bit frustrated with Martial because he came his first season, hit the ground running. Player of the year in his first season. The year after that, he fell off. Then he came back again, then he fell off. Yeah, Manchester United. You have to be consistent as consistent as possible. You cannot because we've gotten Cavani. You're I know it plays on the mind, but you need to know how to measure these things. When he gets his opportunities, he should ensure that he maximizes any chance that he gets. I mean, earlier on in the season, he was actually getting favored over Cavani because there was a lot of animosity around the Cavani signing, saying that it was a panic buy and that the player is old and is injury prone. So he was actually getting his chance, and this time around he wasn't stripped his jersey number. Remember, he kept the number 9. Remember when Zlatan came, they took the
Yeah,
number 9 from him.
number 9. Yeah.
So I think that he should have kept his head up and just do his best. I don't think he's doing his best, and it comes down to his confidence, yes. But here's my thing. I kind of disagree with you in terms of the pundit saying that his movement off the ball is not as good as Cavani and Greenwood. But his hold up play is tremendous. It's better than Greenwood in my opinion. He
Yeah, his
kind
hold up is definitely tremendous.
he kind of reminds me of Bobby Firmino in terms of how he holds up the play. But in
We will
terms
go
of
there.
off the ball movement, that needs to improve, and he's not a poacher. Like when you see Cavani in the box, Cavani is a fox in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
box. If you feed
I don't think he's
Cavani,
a natural striker.
yes,
Oh, sorry, no,
I think
I
he's
don't
an
think he's a natural
inverted
striker.
winger.
Definitely. And that's the
I
thing,
think he's
somebody had to be sacrificed. Either Rashford would have to play strike or him have to play strike. I mean, I think that's the problem. There's a lot of inverted wingers or inside forwards at the club that can play striker, but it's not really their natural thing, and so like it does take away from your natural games. I'm not going to lie.
right.
Martial is to blame, the club is to blame, the manager is to blame. Everybody, a lot of people are to blame, but yes, he has not been consistent sadly for the club.
All right. So I agree with everything we say, and to be honest, he might get the fall for all of the for Greenwood's growth.
Yeah, yeah,
He
I
might be
think he will.
sacrificed. All
Yeah,
right. So now, before we get into what you envisage for the season and tactics, I just want to just quickly address the Pogba situation. Now, Manchester United has offered him a contract extension, right? And he hasn't replied as yet. You have heard talks on it's Manchester Evening News that is waiting to see what happens later on in the transfer window to decide his fate at United or elsewhere, as well as it's looking like he's going to wait out the contract, wait until he is a free agent to decide, which is a bad thing for United, which means that we'll make a
he'll go
loss
on a
on
free.
Pogba.
I mean,
So just them
I
waiting.
mean, we're
I
in.
mean,
I think we're in
waiting.
a lose lose win lose situation. Both. He just has 1 year left on his contract. So they're definitely not going to sell him this summer or January. I think in January he can start. He can actually sign. Um. With
He's
the on
eligible
that
to
based on
sign.
the Rooney law. So I mean, I believe that if Manu shows Pogba the direction that they're going, and they show that they're competitive and competing, and they're in the right direction, becoming not only when it comes to like Premier League and Champions League, but the style of play. I think even now, I think Pogba has a problem with the role that he's playing. I think that's also a huge problem. I don't think he has ever really been happy with the role that he has been able to play. He's not as free as like when he's playing with France, simply for the fact that you have Conte, you have Conte there, and he's the main creative deep line playmaker type of force in that France team. So he has that freedom to be Pogba. But I mean, to quickly talk about, I mean, it's a lose lose and a win lose situation. It's either he walks away for free, or he signs
Cash in
a
on him.
contract extension, or we can do that. I don't think we will, but I think that he either walks on a free or um he um he signs with us. But I think the only way he's signing back with us is if the club and the team and the management shows Pogba that we are moving into the right direction, with tactics, with competition wise, his role, etc. If not, then he'll be playing for another team next summer.
Yeah, because I just want to go back to what you said about his role. I think he has complained several times that he's playing too defensive and he wants the license to express himself somewhere, which I said. And I don't think he has seen. That is why I said, and that is why I think he said on Manchester Evening News that he's waiting to see what happens because probably he's waiting to see a Declan Rice come. Just hypothetically speaking, he's waiting to see
Okay.
he's waiting to see like a Ndidi or a Ruben Neves or he's trying to see someone who can take the pressure off him defensively and who can
You
support him as a deep playing playmaker. So that is why I am saying, and that's why it said here because I'm actually reading it now. It actually said
okay?
he's waiting to see Manchester sign a central defensive midfielder or another box to box who takes pride in defending more, so he can get the license to go more forward. So
You see, the thing with that though is that if you do that, then somebody's going to have to be dropped. I'm not going to lie to you. I've really grown to love Scott McTominay. Like he's really a very good player for us. Know what I'm saying? I think with Scott, he does. I think he has the defensive capabilities. Like when it comes to his mentality of like reading plays, he's really good at that. But I think like when it comes to the defensive aspect, he can work on it a little bit. I'm not saying that he's terrible at it. I think he's a good defensive box to box midfielder, but nothing like very good or elite like Conte or like other box to box midfielders. I can't really. But my like just to get it out there, my personal opinion, I've always said this. Like I think last year, 2 years ago, Manchester United should have bought Florentino Luis. That he has the mentals. He as a young player, I think he's 21 right now. Florentino Luis. I know he was playing for Benfica, but I think Monaco bought him. I think that he the way how he would fit Manu so perfectly. Like his defense, he's just such a great young defensive midfielder, and he has good passing, But I think that if Manu would be going for a CDM, it doesn't have to be that great elite pass like prime Busquets or other prime CDMs that play. He's a good passer, but he is an amazing central defensive midfield when it comes to that the defensive aspect. Will give Fernandez and Pogba the freedom. And that would be my personal pick. Florentino Luis. Like you can't lose with the guy.
so
But
so
yeah,
what you think about Kamavinga because um for the past 3 weeks or so it was said that Manchester United wanted to get him, to be the CDM because
oh no, I love Camavinga. I've been
yeah,
watching him
but
since
it seems as
since
though we hopped out of that race for Kamavinga. I think
I
they're waiting next year to get him for free. But if I was Manchester United, I would go all out for Kamavinga because he's skillful, he's tenacious, he can
I
pass,
think
he has
I think
everything.
I think he's an all round CDM, but I think he's more gifted when it comes to that. Not saying that he's not good defensively, but I think he's like a little mini Pogba in a way. In a way, I'm not saying that he is exactly that, but that's not what we need. Like I love Camavinga. Like I think Manu needs to start focusing on like you need to build. a system and buy players for the system that you need. It can't be constantly, buying. It's just going to cause this effect of having to knock out people that you already have that are already good and cause rupture when it comes to like depth and all that people who wanted to play. But I mean, me, if I didn't have Pogba and I wanted a player, or let's say Pogba was 31, 32, I'll definitely buy Camavinga. I love that guy. I love that guy. I'm into that.
All right. So now that we get over Pogba situation and the dilemma with Pogba, him probably leave because it don't seem as though we're signing any other midfielder or any midfielder. Sorry. All right. So what do you think about the system that Ole plays or the play style and what do you think about the squad rotation and so forth? And
Just give me a
what
minute.
do
The phone is dying.
all right, cool. Yeah,
Yeah, man,
man.
just give me a quick minute.
So while we give him some time, guys, to get the phone and stuff, I just want to speak about Ole and his playing style. Remember, Javier was mentioning earlier that there's no system, no style of play that United tries to emulate or tries to do. You know, it's always either counter attack football, it's always, so pressure. It's, we don't have an identity as a team. We don't have the players to have a suited system. When I'm watching United play, there are times where we play a beautiful brand of football. Then there are other instances where we look lackluster, we look all over the place. There are times when Bruno is out of the game. So there's a lot that needs to change. You back, Jav?
Yeah, man.
Alright. So yeah, I was just saying to them that I agree with you. We don't have a system because if you look at a lot of times, even when we're playing against teams that play a low block, they're getting everybody behind the ball. There's no style of play. How we normally get out of those situations? A Pogba beauty pass, a Bruno, some magical moment from Bruno. Rashford
Or a
dribbles
penalty.
past, yeah, Rashford dribbles past three,
Or
four,
a
five
penalty.
players. A one cross in the box, Cavani head it in. We don't have a system. When you look at Man City, count constant pressure, man to man marking, and they keep possession and they don't hold on to the ball too long. When you look at Liverpool, high press counter football, German style football. You get me? When you look at Manchester
Yeah, get
United,
impressive.
yeah. When you look at Manchester United, sometimes I like how they're playing, sometimes I am frustrated,
Yeah, that can be
because
inconsistent.
yeah, because there are times when Bruno has a class game, you know, Pogba plays a beautiful game. McTominay and Fred don't make a mistake. And then you have other times where it's not clicking. One prime example was against was it remember when Cavani scored the wonder goal against
Yeah.
Fulham. They were
Yeah.
playing good in the first half, then second half it just go right
Uh,
through the window. Yeah,
mm.
nothing. And same thing again, Fulham again when we won 1-0 at Fulham, where Pogba
I,
scored that goal. We
I
struggle
think
to create chances.
also, I think it also speaks to the mentality of the players a bit. I'm not saying that it fully speaks, but it does speak, about the mentality of some of the players maybe. You know what I'm saying? Complacency is a thing. I'm not going to lie, complacency is a thing. Um I'm not going to say that every single time. Sometimes the other team just begins to, put in more effort and play much better. But a good amount of times, I just see this complacency in our football that we just start to get a little bit lackadaisical, start just passing sideways. You know, we're not I don't see that hunger to like destroy teams. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes when we, especially when when we're leading from early, like that attacking hunger. It's not even about creating chances sometimes. Like I am perfectly fine. I am perfectly fine. Is um if like we play a team, let's say we play a smaller team, and we took 25 shots, and only had like 6, 7 on target, and Fulham just got two chances and scored one, and we played how I think we should play, high pressing. We totally dominated the ball. Off the ball movement was perfect. I can live with that. It's football at the end of the day. I can live with that. But when we get lackadaisical on the ball to start doing this sideways type of passing, not and my main problem with Manu is the lack of off the ball movement in the third half. Oh my goodness. It it really can be hard to watch sometimes because the half spaces are just there to be used and they're just not being used. I mean, I personally, as I said, it goes down to manager, it goes down to players, but um, I mean, that's one of my main frustrations. We, especially when we lead from early, we always tend to just get complacent. I don't know why. And then whenever the team scores, that's when you see Manu spring back up. I'm like, come on, man. Every single match that we play, we should be wanting to kill the team. 6, 7 nil. We could be leading 3-0 halftime, and as we go back on, we're ready to continue pressure them. I expect. I don't care which team it is. I'm not saying that we'll play the same way exactly for every single team. No, you have to look back on the tape. Every team plays differently, and and stop taking some of the smaller teams for granted. I don't know, when they're training, if they look on tape and look on the other smaller teams. I'm not saying that they don't, but what I'm saying, take every team seriously.
Yeah,
Take
because
every team.
that's actually why we came second. Because remember January when we were in first and Man City had a game in hand. We were 4 points ahead at the time. Remember? Four
Yeah,
points ahead. Then what happened? We drew with Fulham. No, we won the game against Fulham. Then we lost to Sheffield United. That's where it went downhill.
yeah,
Remember? From we drew
yeah.
when we lost the Sheffield game, then we drew after that, then we drew again after that. Then City say, all right, they find some momentum, right? And
Yeah.
then when we go along, we lost to City. Remember, we lost to City the second
Yeah.
Manchester derby. We lost to
Second.
City. So
Yeah.
that's where it went down the drain for us. And then look at that
I'm not
now.
even going
You
to
lose
lie.
you lose 2 games and you draw 3. So that's why they got the 11-point gap at the end of the season because
And
we gave it
and,
away. And then you
and don't
can
get me
even
wrong.
mention the Leicester game.
Yeah, but the thing is that don't get me wrong at all. I did not expect us to win the league at all. I think Man City is way ahead of us when it comes to talent. I think that team is just also after, as I said, I'm not like one of the the diehard like Man U fans when it comes to like all Man U being subjective and being biased towards. I have to give credit where credit is due. Their team is on them and Liverpool. Thing about Liverpool as well is that the team per se on paper, when you look on the like, I can't even say that anymore. I have to like there's a lot of world class players. Like I can't even say that anymore. But like the main thing about Liverpool was that they were very a very legend like cohesiveness and the way that they played together, and they just had the system that works for everyone in that starting 11. You know, but that boils down to I'm not even going to lie to you. I don't really remember much about the season last year. I never really care that we came second. Like we didn't play that well this season. Last season, I mean, coming second, I mean that's cool. We qualify for Champions League, but I can't say that we deserve to come second. I prefer to watching Leeds over Manchester United, to be quite honest with you. You
I
know,
agree.
Leeds is my.
Because Leeds
I'm a.
always went out dying.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah, Bielsa can be crazy sometimes. Bielsa can. I think that you have to do what's best for your team. And Bielsa sometimes could have changed things a bit, and not. He could have changed some tactics sometimes, especially in game. That could have helped Leeds to not get thrashed, even though they were playing okay or good. But definitely, I mean, Leeds, they have a system. You know, they lived by it, they died by it, and for a team that got promoted this year, well, last season, and they got into the top 10. So. Um, that's a plus for them. A lot of teams now. I was surprised when Rodrigo went to Leeds. So obviously that spoke volumes to like the type of players that
And
believed in the
Rafinha.
system, believed in the culture. Rafinha, exactly. That spoke volumes. And now look, they have a very good box-to-box midfielder in Calvin Phillips. He was able to make the English team this year, and I think he played well in the Euros. You know, so. But that's what it just comes down to. If you were to ask me how I'd want Manchester United to play, I mean, I'm a high pressing guy all day, every day. I think, me personally, I would just go with. I'm a 4-2-3-1 type of guy, or a 4-3-3, play with a CDM. We could have, the only difference is that Pogba wouldn't, for the 4-2-3-1, with the attacking midfielder being Bruno Fernandes. Pogba wouldn't really be happy in the role that he would have to play in as that two midfielders, because if we're going to start Scott McTominay, he'll be of a box to box midfielder, but he will be Scott likes to go. He likes to go high up. He's not one of those holding type of
He's not a
box to
Matic.
box midfield. Yeah, so like what I'm saying is basically you have to think about it this way. You have to see your shape defensively, because your original shape, tactical shape, your attacking tactical shape, and your team is your defensive shape, it looks different. So you have to realize and think about the number of you have to basically analyze the attacking tactic and defensive tactic. Basically, the attacking tactic is basically when you have the ball and you're attacking, how the shape looks generally when you have the ball, and then defensive when you don't have the ball. So basically, you'd have to think about the amount of players that when you are, especially for Manu, who has majority of the times has the ball, you'd have to think about, okay, we have two center backs. They'll be there. So there are two guys on defensive duties. Um, if Hubble was to play how he would play, and let's say everybody wanted to play how they wanted to play, that would mean that there would only be three guys on defensive duties. And and Aaron Wan-Bissaka isn't even like on defensive like unit. It's not like he stays behind and is a part of the defensive line. He goes up. He's not good at it when he has the ball to do the flare and all that
Yeah,
stuff. But he
right.
does he does go up. So it's not like he doesn't go up. He's a part of the attacking phase. So basically, I mean, I don't have the time to like draw that picture for you, but basically there's basically, if everybody was to play how they wanted to play, there would only be two center defenders. Basically, it would be Varane and Maggie. So that wouldn't really work when it comes to the whole other teams being able to counter us. I mean, I'm not even to lie. No matter how dominant we would be, they'll get some easy chances because Luke Shaw will be up, Wan-Bissaka will be up. Basically, you'll be playing with um
A front six.
basically like, yeah, basically, yeah. You'll have Bruno, the wingers. The wingers will be more inside, giving the space for the wing backs to go wide, basically. And there will only be two CBs. So if I what let's say that we wanted Pogba to stay, what I would do is get, again. I'm a Florentino Luis fan. So I would, let's say that we bought Florentino Luis or whoever you want to be the CDM. If we're going to go with the 4-3-3 CDM, you would have to have a CDM whose main responsibility is
It's
to
a
be that
sit.
anchor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sit
that
behind.
anchor.
And you have the two
Don't need
box
one
to
of,
box.
yeah, two box to box or two mezzalas, whichever ones, you know. So I'm saying that we don't need any pretty like CDMs, like they call them segundo volantes basically. Those are like CDMs that they attack, or they are part, they go like, I won't say into like the penalty area, but they're a little bit off. So they're like a center mid support basically. The second
Mm-hmm.
level lines, we don't need that. We just need a halfback or a ball winning midfielder or a anchorman who just sits in front of the three. So you'd have a back three pyramid who is there. You'd have the two wing backs. Since Aaron Wan-Bissaka isn't that great attacking wise, I wouldn't push him so further up. I would just have him as an outlet to recycle position if necessary. So he wouldn't be going all the way high up. He would just be just in case, let's say, if the team, for example, is too team that we're playing is playing a narrow defensive unit. We would have like one Bissaka there just to recycle to push it wide when needed. Um, and sometimes he can push forward when he sees that it's risk free. Luke Shaw now or whoever playing left back, he will be the aggressive one, you know. So while Luke Shaw being aggressive, we could have Maguire, just move a little bit wider as to just cut off that space that was left.
And the
And
stadium
you
drop
can,
back.
yeah, the CDM will definitely be there to just any little whether them kick out the ball or they pass it out, the CDM will be there to cover the space. And then you have the two midfielders, although they'll be running back, which means the two midfielders that we would have to have a high sense of work rate. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So the thing,
Mhm.
so the thing is that even with like let's say Pogba isn't a box to box midfielder or a Mizala, which is actually a good thing. If you have a CDM, Pogba likes to play like a deep line playmaker type of role. Basically, they sometimes they will like go to the edge of the box to facilitate, but they like to drop a bit deeper. Um, the time, the space to make decisions, to make the passes. Um, basically just drop deeper and make those long passes that you see, those basically those long through passes, or any of those cut edge passes. But the good thing about the Pogba role is that he will be deeper. So even he is not really he's not really
You getting a call.
really
Mm.
defensive in defensive attributes. Basically he would be a part of the defensive unit when it comes to, if we lose the ball, he would also be there for us to anything, like if they counter. But to answer the question, basically, how I would want Manu to play is basically something similar to Liverpool. Gegen pressing, have a CDM, have two box to box midfielders. I have two attacking wing backs, or at least one attacking wing back. I'll play, if you want, if we had a player who wanted to play like a 4-2-3-1 with an attacking midfielder, you should have at least one of those midfielders who would drop back. But we'll basically have two wingers who will play inverted wingers or inside forwards, who will be more on the inside, allowing those wing backs to come back. And as soon as we lose the ball, we cut down on those spaces immediately. We cut it off. Let the team kick it out if they have to, and we just go back and recycle.
Yeah, man. Agreed, agreed. And I just wanted to add, with the purchase of Rafael Varane, we don't need to play with two CDMs going forward because, as we said earlier, Varane has recovery pace, and with having two centre backs that can be left on their own, It facilitates greater opportunities for us in our attack. So just to answer that question as well, I would prefer us to play high press, high tempo football, just the same as what you said. And as we lose it, pressure. As we lose the ball, go and win back the ball, because us Jamaicans, remember what the coach that carried us to World Cup said. If we don't have the ball, we can't score. And if we don't have the ball, we can't prevent the other team from scoring. So the lesson here is, or the reason for making such statement is that we always need to have control of possession, control over how the match is being played. You know, because when you look at the Villarreal game, I just want to touch on this because we kind of over the time. Just want to touch
Oh,
on
really?
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to touch on this. Ole needs to get things right. So the final question I want to ask you is, Ole out or Ole stay? Now I want to go first. Now I am a Ole doubter, right? So the reason why I am an Ole outer is because he's finished third last season with a poor squad, in my opinion, right? This season he finished second. I think there are a couple of things that he could have done to get a closer second place finish, but it is what it is. And he has managed to lose the Europa League finals. And why am I an Ole doubter? I'm not an Ole outer yet. If it continues on this wavelength, I will become an Ole outer. No, why am I an Ole doubter is because things like the Europa League finals, I don't see ruthlessness from Ole as yet as a manager. Yes, we've heard that he's a good man-to-man manager and he knows how to get all his players on board with whatever he's going through with the games and so on. My thing is, Ole needs to have a system that he sticks to. That's what we mentioned earlier. Two, he needs to get the decisions correct, because we can bring back the Europa League finals. Why is it that you are in a final and you took until second half of extra time to make a first substitution? Now, if you look at how, what's his name is, good evening, Unai Emery. If you look at how he managed the game, he managed it better because when he made his substitutes, the game changed. Yes, they didn't score on us, but the game changed. And then the players that Ole put on was Fred. I think Pogba shouldn't come off the field. That was a dumb substitute. So therefore, we lost Pogba's creativity in the last 15 minutes of regulation time. Two, Marcus Rashford was having a poor game. Yes, he scored the penalty, but he was having a poor game. I think that Greenwood should have stayed on the pitch, and I think that Van de Beek should have gotten his chance. So you see, I think if Pogba would have come off the field, it shouldn't be Fred who goes on. Should have been Van de Beek who tried to make things happen. You understand? Put on Amad Diallo for Rashford. Rashford had a poor game. Come on, I remember this like the back of my hand. Things like that Ole needs to get right. He needs, yes, we're complaining, oh, the squad is not good enough, da 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 da. But things like that Ole needs to get right. And now that he's getting Sancho and Varane and who knows, probably some other signing, the team looks better than last season. Let's see if he'll utilize the squad some more. If he doesn't, and the same things reoccur, I'm an Ole outer. What says you?
Well, first to touch on it, I mean, just to quickly, just to touch on something. To me, the team, the squad that we had last year was good enough. I mean, I think a lot of people, I mean, it wasn't good enough to win the league, but it was good enough to be competitive. I think a lot of people are just still thinking about the days of Ferdinand, Village, Rooney, blah blah blah, etc. I mean, I think Klopp has shown that with the right players in the right system and proper development, that you can create a team to be a championship winning team, and not to like waste any time. I just want to touch on. I was a fan of Roberto Firmino when he was playing at Hoffenheim, and I said this guy, although he's had a bad season, this guy is an amazing false man that Manchester United could use. And from where Roberto Firmino was to Hoffenheim to what he's at Liverpool, just like Mane, just like Salah, it shows that the team that we have is good enough if with the right development and the right manager and the right coaches. So to touch on if I am an Ole out or if I think Ole is in, I have to give him his props. I think something he touched on. I think he not every manager can do it, and I think it's something a manager needs, which is player support. Player support is huge, and I personally believe that he is able to rally his team. I think to rally his team. I think he's more relatable than our previous managers. I think the players like him well, and so they would want to do the best that they can for him. That's why I don't even blame Marino for fully for his days because I could see that the players were not trying for Marino for some of the matches. Like, come on, you don't have to like the guy, but still, So I do believe having the player support and the club atmosphere is something that is very important. But I think how long has he been in the team? 2 years, right?
Just about 2 years, two and a half
So
years.
so for the first year and the second year, the first year, I give him a blind for any he's not saying that he wasn't a manager before, but now he was managing Manchester United. You know, he's still a young manager. Tactical, his tactical prowess. Every manager has it on first go. You know, but as the years go by, we should be seeing some form of improvement. Second year now, okay, what's going to change? Um, I can I feel like the pressure of managing Manu and that Manu automatically like you have to win in order for it to be a successful season. I think it pressures him a lot to make some decisions that he wouldn't normally make. Or the support of some players that like him, they maybe I'm not saying this is the reason, but I'm just saying that I'm assuming that maybe that is one of the reasons as well that let's say him and Rashford are cool. He truly believes that Rashford can change the dynamic of that match in Villarreal. Not to hurt Rashford's feelings. I'm not saying that's the reason, but that could possibly be another reason. I think because you have for me rotation is really crucial. And it's not only rotation is not only crucial for um keeping players fresh. It gives all the players not only opportunity but it builds a rhythm within the other players coming off from the bench. It gives them a rhythm that when they do come on at these big games, these big matches, and they already have a rhythm. They start in a couple of matches every month, and whether they play decent or they play very good or they play bad, they have that much experience under their belt. So when they come on the pitch, they're ready to go. They have a rhythm. Can't you can't just put on someone who hasn't. Let's say that he put on Van der Beek in that Villarreal finals who's only played 590 minutes, 19 games he's played, and that's not even starting. He majority of those matches he came on. So I mean, if Van der Beek came on and he didn't play well, then I think sometimes the managers are in win-lose situations, but he has to. I'm not going to lie to you. I think he has to be aggressive. I think he needs to be assertive in what he wants to accomplish tactical wise. with Manchester United, I'd rather you I'd rather you be assertive, have an ideology of what you want to do. You know, be assertive with the decisions, because in-game tactics and like decisions by halftime, during, like it's important. And if I see that you're assertive and you're trying, from it's not that dumb of an idea, I'll be fine with it. Be assertive. You know what you want to do and play. You know what? If you took off Rashford and put on Diallo and Diallo didn't play well, I'm cool with that. But you have to be assertive. You have to be aggressive. You have to know what you want to do. Because at the end of the day, if we blame the money, if Diallo comes out and plays well, scores a goal, you know who they praise?
The
Ole.
man,
If we if Marcus Rashford doesn't come out, they plays bad and he doesn't come out, they blame the manager. It's a win lose for manager. So I completely understand. But me personally, objectively, I am completely fine if a manager is assertive and aggressive and knows in his mind what he wants to do and he does it. If it makes an error into the game, I'm fine with that. But from I can see what you're trying to do, I envision and see what you're trying. I think he just needs to be more assertive. But I knowing the other pressure on him is this year, because they've brought in players that this is basically showing telling my new fans that yo, we're going for the league this year. Although I don't think we will win it, but this is basically an indication that Manu is going for it this year. We're going to be competitive in the Champions League, maybe reach quarterfinals for Champions League. You know what I'm saying? And all the pressure. If he fails to be competitive for this year, then I think he'll be out. But all I want from him is just be a bit more assertive. Make decisions. Be assertive and be aggressive, and live with the choices that you make. You know, as I said, as I always say, if you dominate a match and the team gets one chance and score it, we, well, not every fan, because some fans are just fanatics, but the objective fans out there, they will say, you know what, we can live with that, because you know why? We played our game and we lost it far away, and that is completely fine. So, don't be um um do what you do best. Don't change. I'm not saying that you can't change, because you need to change your tactics for each team. Each team plays differently and all that, etc. But do what you do best, winning or losing. You know what I'm saying? So be assertive and be aggressive. That's the advice I'll give to.
all right. Well said, Javier. Well said. And guys, he will be coming on the channel more often. And we'll be having more lives. And if any news comes around, we'll surely discuss it on the channel. And guys, a lot of you are watching the channel and not subscribed. I need you guys to subscribe. This is how we make the. So we make the. You get me? So, anyways, I don't want to hold you guys any longer. The Olympics is currently in session, and I want to go watch some races. I'm a Jamaican, and I am fascinated with track and field as well. But without further ado, people, thanks for watching. Thanks again, Javier, for coming. I will bring you on the show more often. And
Thank you.
stay safe. It's a pandemic, there's a new strain to the pandemic going on. So just please keep um listening to the guidelines, and we as young people, we are actually the carriers of the virus. So not because you may have you're fully vaccinated, you still can carry that strain. You still can even carry the COVID-19. So guys, I just want to leave that with you. It's my final time saying I'm closing the video. Thanks for watching, and we're out.